Irina Strunina, and this is our podcast, Diabetically Speaking with SmartMove360. We go live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are talking about everything related to diabetes and life with diabetes. So, with that, let's go. All right. So, today I have a great guest joining me on this podcast. We met recently. Kim Kyle, she is registered dietitian. She is also educator with CDC. And when I saw all her credentials and what she's doing, I thought, I need to connect with this lady. I must to have her on my podcast, and probably I will try to convince her to work with us further. So, Kim, can you please talk a little bit about yourself so our listeners can learn about you a little bit?
First, I want to thank you, Irina, for building an amazing community. You have so many people in the community for a peer-to-peer, counseling and assistance and support. So if you need support, please look up Irina and become part of the Facebook group. It's very knowledgeable. I mean, you're going to get lots of differing opinions, but you're going to get some questions answered for sure.
Thank you, Kim. All right, so tell us about yourself. Thank you for saying those kind words about our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners, but we want to know about you.
Well, absolutely, Irina. And I think you and I have a great connection because we are caregivers of our family member who had type 2 diabetes. And it really was the turning point of my life. I decided instead of going into hotel management and ending up in Tahiti one day at a hotel, I was going back to school to be a dietitian at the age of 27 because my dad was diagnosed with diabetes and he had a pretty scary situation overseas where once he came back from his trip, his doctor had him the next day in heart surgery. He had a quintuple bypass.
Oh, wow.
So all of that happened so quickly and it scared the heck out of us. I mean, my dad was 50 at the time, and there is no way this man is going to be taken out of this life anytime soon. What can we do about it as a family? Because this is an important person in our world, and there was nothing that we wouldn't do to keep him here. And he felt that way too. He wasn't always, the perfect type 2 diabetes patient. And that's what I kind of loved about going through this whole process with him, that you don't have to be perfect to, get your A1C controlled and prevent complications. So I had to go back to school. I'm 27, going back to school and, learning everything. And, but it was the best decision that I've made because this is my life's work. This is what I was meant to do. This is my purpose. This is everything you want to know. What is your job? And this is my job, to help people control their blood sugars to prevent complications. So you can be here longer with your family and friends, experiencing the weddings and the birthdays and the babies that are coming. That's important. So how can we keep you here longer? Like I helped my dad, he lived with us an extra 31 years, and thank God that he did.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kim. This is a story that definitely, as you said, we have, you and I, we have many connecting points, but it also we have a lot of caregivers in our Facebook group. You could see people posting that their parent has been diagnosed, their spouse, partner, child were diagnosed, and people want to help. People want to help and to support and provide care. And unfortunately, the way how our society is built, doesn't matter what country, education about diabetes is a well kept secret. People really know very little about it, just very, very limited information. And this is what our Facebook group is doing, and this is
Yeah.
why we started this podcast, so we could bring as much information from different
Yeah.
perspectives to our people, and not only to the people in our Facebook group. It's public group, so anyone on a
Anybody.
Facebook could um, get there and read the posts and learn about different situations and ways to manage and be better informed. So
Absolutely.
we have a little list of questions, and let me ask you those. So again, I'm jumping as always ahead of myself. First question: why, in managing diabetes, it is very important to have a support system? You are the support system. Why do you think, from your professional opinion, support system is important when managing diabetes?
Having type 2 diabetes and uncontrolled sugars can be really scary. And I've been a diabetes educator now 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is really, I have so many stories that I could explain. But if I have a couple, a husband and wife, the husband has diabetes, the wife does not. And she is sometimes hearing things about his blood sugars for the very first time. And
Yeah.
I think often people who have type 2 diabetes are afraid to reach out because they don't want to be criticized. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of that is fear, just leave me alone, I'm handling it. But if the partner, the family, the doctor, the dietitian, we can all be involved and say, a lot of this may not be in your control. Let's see how we can help you get better blood sugars. The family does have to make changes, absolutely across the board. It's not fair for the person with type 2 diabetes with all of the favorite drinks that are probably now not the best thing for that person to have them in the house. My
Mm-hmm.
my mom did that right away with my dad. I mean, they turned to all diet drinks, and my dad would brew green tea and put that in the refrigerator to drink through the day, which was really great. They She changed a lot. She had to change a lot. And somebody, no, there's a lot of people who don't have, a wife or a daughter, to do that for them. But there are friends and family, and knowing the support person has a very important role, not to criticize. You have to be very careful because the type 2 diabetic patient or person or family member will hide everything and not tell you if they're not feeling well because they don't want to have that backlash. But as an educator, I can tell you a lot of this is out of their control or just a lot of misinformation that a diabetes educator, endocrinologist, I mean, we can absolutely help you put the puzzle pieces together so everybody's on the same page.
Yes, definitely. And I agree with you. We see a lot of people in our group saying, I don't want anybody to know about my diagnosis. I am the one who put myself into this, and I don't want to punish anyone because of this situation that I created for myself. And I personally uh, think that this is not the best approach, but this is my personal opinion. Because if anything, just this in simple, plain situation, for whatever reason, the person with diabetes felt dizzy and fell. A lot of times people start grabbing their heart and see if the heart is beating, and heart is maybe beating, and they try to speak and say, smile, stick your tongue out. Maybe this is the how do you call this,
Stroke.
stroke, and that is also okay. But person is just getting worse and worse. What can you do if nobody is aware that you have diabetes? They may delay with the help, and that may cause the damage that will be very hard to overcome. So I personally believe that we need to have a team, a support team, who will be, you don't have to post on the Facebook a big banner, I have diabetes, but the closest people who you're communicating with regularly, uh, I think should be aware. It's also unfair to them to do not know.
Yeah, and I have a lot of conversations with patients that just don't want their coworkers to know. They don't want to reveal a personal side of them, and that is okay. But maybe a manager, somebody who knows. Now, if people are not taking insulin or a medication that lowers blood sugars, they're really not at risk for, a severe low. It certainly
Hmm.
lows can happen, but not to the point where you would pass out or
Yes,
become unconscious. But if somebody's taking insulin or a medication like glyburide, glipizide, insulin that can lower your blood sugars, absolutely somebody needs to know where you work. But in your home, again, I come across somebody who's had diabetes for 20 years, and their partner does not know how to check their blood sugars, doesn't know anything about how to work the meter. They have no idea how to use that. So that's the first place I would start, making sure everybody in the home knows how to use a glucose meter to check your blood sugar. It is the most accurate. Certainly, we have those sensors we're putting on our arms these days, and that's great, and it will sense a drop. It will give you an arrow, usually stable, going up or going down, and that's lovely. But it's not a real time blood sugar. It's behind a bit of the finger stick. So everybody should have a meter, whether from Walmart or from one of the name brands that we like to promote. And everybody in the family should know how to do a finger stick, just in case something would happen. You become disoriented.
yeah,
This happens very, very quickly. When your blood sugar drops, it goes from the brain first, because this is what you have to keep alive. So all the
yeah,
sugar goes here. You become weak and confused if you have a low blood sugar, and you might not be able to verbalize what's going on. But somebody in the home can use a meter, check the blood sugar. If it's near or under 70, then yeah, this person needs some help. I had a patient tell me, I knew I had to go get something to eat. I just couldn't make my legs get up and walk to the kitchen.
yes.
So it can be that scary. So yeah, we need to know. The family members need to know. The friend at work needs to know. Somebody needs to know.
Yes, definitely. We have here a comment from Anthony. He said that as soon as I was diagnosed in February, my wife immediately started to follow the same lifestyle change and dietary changes. I am so lucky to have such a great support system. Absolutely, Anthony. I totally agree. This is the way how I look at it.
Yes.
Diabetes is a team sport. You need cheerleaders, you need a doctor or somebody who is checking with your health, you need a coach, somebody who will tell you what to do. This is a program, this is a team, but when team is all in tune, uh, the results of getting your diabetes under control and freeing you from the scare of complications is so much closer and so much easier to achieve, I think.
I have a little, plaque in my office that says well-controlled diabetes is the leading cause of nothing. And that's what the ultimate goal is. You don't have to have an A1C of 5.5 to have well-controlled diabetes. We're
Yes,
looking at an A1C less than 7%. So through the research, these are, the numbers that I'm getting. I don't have a specific research, but per the endocrinology office, if we can get you under 7%, however we can do that, can we help you avoid complications, blindness, kidney issues, neuropathy, heart issues? There's so much that goes into what the damage that high blood sugars do. But there was a person on your Facebook group today that was very afraid that her blood sugar spiked up, and oh my gosh, is this going to cause a complication? No, it's
yes,
not. It's the length of time that this happens. How long has your A1C been over 7? Have you not managed it very well? Can we, have some support for you to get you back on track? But it has to be the person with diabetes has to do it. The family member can do everything in their power, change their diet, change the drinks, shop differently. When the party is around, have the foods that everybody can enjoy and eat, and not just have cake and cookies all over the place. Let's get
yes,
some other things in there. So there definitely friends and family can be a big part of the support, but it's the length of time that the blood sugars are high that can lead to complications. So Medications. Maybe initially you need to get on medications to get those blood sugars down. Maybe you're very motivated and we can just follow diet and exercise to get your blood sugars down. But whatever it takes to get your blood sugars initially under 180 and then ultimately under 140, and that's 2 hours after eating, that is the goal.
Yes, absolutely. There is a lot of anxiety going on around the numbers, and it's understandable. And it's all comes from lack of knowledge, lack of information. And I think not only people with diabetes need to be educated, but the support people also need to learn and see and observe. Sometimes what I've heard, one of our members, she told the story about, and she's a nurse and she knows how diabetes works. She's at her work. Always helping people to understand and do all this, but she also has diabetes, and she thought she's under, everything is under control. She's doing well. Numbers show that. But she said one day, her grown up already children said, "Mom, when did you check your blood sugar?" And she was like, "Why are you asking? Everything is under control." She said, "Well, maybe generally you are correct, but today you are extremely irritable. Today you
Mm,
are so hard to please. Maybe this is the blood sugar is playing the game." And sure enough, the blood sugar, for whatever reason, was much higher than it's usually. And she was like, wow. So people outside, they make connections. They
mhm,
see that something is wrong, something is
mhm,
not the same. And because they
mhm.
educated and know that diabetes may affect the way how you behave, they
Absolutely.
remind, check your blood sugar. I know grandchildren actually taking a very good care of their grandparents, reminding, did you check your blood sugar? What was your blood sugar? And this is something that I personally think why it's also a whole family project, whole family
Mhm.
uh, team. Everybody will be celebrating with you your A1C. When it's going down, everyone will be supporting you and not saying, oh, just one piece, it will not hurt. If you strong enough to say, I'm not going to have it, everybody has to go along with you and applaud you for it instead of saying, oh, forget about it, just have a piece. It's not fair, I think. So support system has to be educated.
I think so, especially the spouse or the partner, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, your kids, your older kids for sure need to know just some basics. And
Hmm.
with the basics, I am a huge fan of carbohydrate counting for the reason that I love carbohydrates, and I
Uh-huh.
am at a high risk for prediabetes and diabetes, especially as I'm in my next chapter of my life, which
Yeah,
is menopausal state. I think women do have a huge hormone switch and we're more likely to have higher blood sugars. But having the key ingredients that you need for blood sugar control, which is just a basic knowledge of what slows down carbohydrates. I hear so much fear when people say, oh, my blood sugar spiked, oh, that must be bad, this must be a bad food. That's normal. Of course, your blood sugars are going to spike when you eat carbs. That is normal. That's what carbs do. They give you energy so you can go about your day. They fuel the brain and the muscles. It's where is it in 2 hours? If it's not coming down, it's not an emergency right away, but can we write down what happened? Were you pretty stressed out? Are you sick? There's lots of other reasons the blood sugars can be high, but let's just get a foundation and not be critical. Let's just learn from that. Is there something that we could do differently next time? Adding a little exercise around mealtime, adding a lean protein and maybe some high fiber veggies with that meal if you want whatever carb that was. Is there a way that we can improve it without having to give up everything?
absolutely. And thank you for mentioning it because I hear it so often and it's really makes me upset when I see those posts from people. They say, just got diagnosed. Now I'm afraid to eat.
Hmm.
I just got this note from my office, from my doctor's office. They saying I have diabetes, and I am so unaware what I can eat. But I know that such and such had this complication, and I don't want that to
Right.
happen to me.
Yeah.
My response to all this is one thing: diabetes is not overnight diagnosis. It was creeping up over the course of years, not
Years.
even months, to become a diabetes,
That's
the
right.
full-blown type 2 diabetes. So
Right.
one episode will not change anything, as you said. Also, you cannot stop eating, because
That's right.
this is stress that causes even bigger spikes in your blood sugar. So learning, combining information from everywhere. Our Facebook group is full of information and
Mhm.
experiences. So Diabetes 101 for beginners can be a starting point, but at the same time, there are so many other diabetic groups in the internet, in YouTube, videos.
Yeah.
You can do what you can
Yeah.
to learn as much as you can, and just experiment with your own body, because we're all different, right?
It's not a one size fits all. I will tell you that.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I will caution listeners today, if somebody is saying a food that we find naturally, out there that we harvest and we eat, like an apple, a
Hmm.
sweet potato, beans, and if they're telling you that's a toxic food and you can never eat that, please move on. Just don't engage, just move on, because somebody like that has very, very strong beliefs, because maybe that works for them, but that is not the rule that I would ever recommend. And that's, and this upsets a lot of people with type 2 diabetes, but all foods can fit, and let us show you how. So for the person just diagnosed with diabetes, I will tell you, you might have to ask your doctor to send you to a registered dietitian that specializes in diabetes. I've talked to a lot of doctors and asked them, why didn't you send your patient sooner? They had
Hmm.
prediabetes for 10 years. Why didn't you send that patient to me then? This
Yes.
could have been done. They're like, they probably wouldn't have gone. They, they
Hmm.
don't have a lot of hope that you guys will actually follow, instructions. But I think that most of you probably would want to hear from somebody who's been in the field for a long time and helped a lot of people. So I do think that you have to be very careful not to just eliminate food groups and say, this is, that's it. I can't have any fruit. I can't have any sweet potatoes. I'm just done with that. I'm going to have to move on with my life. Don't do that. Let us help you to figure that out. And that's why I like the plate method, which is visual. I love that. You can look that up at diabetes.org, American Diabetes Association. But carb counting, and the amounts vary per person. It's not for everybody. But for example, a 45-gram carb for maybe a woman, 60 to 70 grams of carbs for a man. A cup of any starch, I would say, is about 30 to 45 grams of carbs. But you know what? A cup of fruit, fresh fruit, is only 15 grams of carbs. So I'd love for you to spend some carbs on your fruit. And that is such a good food, because we have so many studies that show fruit can reduce your risk for certain cancers and reduce your risk for heart disease and clogged arteries. So it's a food group that I hear so often that I can't eat it anymore. And that is not true. You just have to spend your carbs however you want. If you want to spend it on a potato, you want to spend it on a dessert, spend it. But spend the amount of carbs that you know that your body can tolerate. And that's where the experiment comes in. That's You just have to
Exactly.
kind of figure out that part. Maybe adding a 20-minute walk after dinner helps you tolerate more carbohydrates, because your muscles want that sugar now that you've started moving them around. That's a great strategy to have more carbs in your diet. So there's lots of things that we can help you with, but find us. We're everywhere. We're on YouTube. I'm not on YouTube yet, but there's some great dietitians that are. Just look us up. We'll be happy to help, or get referred to
Absolutely.
one.
Definitely, definitely. And Kim, I'm glad you mentioned it all, because not only the exercises, as you of course know, not only exercises after the meal, not necessarily exercise, but walking, just casual walk, but also the order in which you eat the food, your meal, can contribute to the spikes or not. The amount, say, yes, I do like rice, for example, but maybe instead of starting with rice and full cup of it, I will start with the salad, and uh, by the time I get to the rice, I will not have much room in my stomach anyway. So I will have much less of that rice that may spike me. And but because I already have salad in it and maybe some other proteins in there, it will delay the processing of this carby side dish, and it will help me to eliminate this very high spikes. Okay,
Sometimes that does work. Sometimes it
yeah,
does. But if you're eating lasagna, you can't separate the noodles from the meat. So,
um,
but yes, fiber and protein do slow down digestion, and that can help you to slowly digest the carbohydrates. So they're not going straight up; they're going up, but a little bit slower. There's so many different strategies, but you just have to try what works best for you. Don't feel that you failed. You're doing great. Just listening and being a part of this group and asking questions. You're doing amazing. Just hang in there. You're going to be all right.
just one comment and we move on because we're at the end. I know we can talk about it with you for a long time. One comment on it is that a lot of times people um, afraid of doing all this and the delaying to do the work that doctors recommending, and that's what is causing doctor don't believing in it. But I have to say that people who are listening to this podcast, people who are the members, not necessarily active members in our Facebook group Diabetes 101 for beginners, they are already so much ahead of those who don't do anything. You already gaining knowledge, you
Yeah.
already doing something for yourself, and this is something that I would like to applaud everyone who is with us. I have to move. I have to move to the announcements.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
Kim, just a second. I wanted to remind everyone that in our Facebook group, we are doing a lot of things to help people of our members to be educated, motivated, uh, doing something for themselves. So on Mondays, we have this Motivational Mondays by Monica Henderson. This is a quick little videos that she is doing to keep people moving. On Tuesdays, we have Telenurse Tuesday event when our nurses go online and answering your questions that you post during the day. Every other Wednesday, we have the diabetic support group meetings, and we invite everyone to join us there. It goes in Zoom, it's not on the Facebook, and we do not record it, and we're trying to help everybody who is joining us there. On Thursdays, of course, at 4 p.m., we have our Diabetically Speaking with SmartMove360 podcast at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Please join us there. Or if you would like to be interviewed here, connect with me and I will make sure that you are on air with us. On Fridays, we have our Trevor Brown, Fitness Fridays with Trevor Brown, and Trevor is showing different kinds of exercises you can do to help yourself to keep moving. And one more thing, I wanted to remind everyone that at the end of June, on June 29th, last Saturday of June, we will have our Diabetic Healthcare Expo, where all and many more our experts and medical and social workers and dietitians and trainers and coaches coming together to talk about diabetes and help you find ways to manage it in the most effective way. And I needed to mention our sponsors, Mink Life Motivations, On Balance Entertainment, Life Based Solutions, and Empower People That Care. These are the people who are helping us to bring this information to you. And with that, look at that. We are actually on target.
I
Thank
am
you
so
very
impressed. This
much.
Arena, look at what you have. You are doing so many great things for the diabetes community. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kim. Let's finish with that. Everybody, keep moving. Do what you need to do to stay on a healthy side. And we will talk with you on Thursday next week.